Hey, thanks everybody for joining us again on the United Pool Association podcast. I'm Joe Mishik, and we're doing some fun segments. Last week I was pretty ill, so we weren't able to get a podcast out. So our apologies on that end, but we're happy to be back with you guys this week. It's just Steve and I this week. We're going to do some fun stories and just kind of keep it light, entertaining, get some information out that's we think is very helpful. So throw it over to my buddy Steve.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Homer, Vice President of the UPA. Thank you, Joe. I'm nursing a nasty cold here, so bear with me. Today,
throwing it through the airwaves.
Yeah, that's right. I can breathe on this, and no one's going to get sick. That's great. Today, we're going to talk about a few good topics, but the one we're going to bring up today is, and this happens to all of us who service swimming pools, is you get to know the client. Whether it be commercial or residential, you get to know these people. You see them every week, sometimes twice, 3 times a week. Big commercials, you see them 5, 6 days a week. So as you go along, you cultivate these relationships as you should as a smart professional. Everybody gets pretty friendly. And I think what I wanted to bring up today is we need to know as professionals when to draw the line between being friendly and being friends. I know, I'm sure, Joe, you have too, been invited to people's backyard parties. Hey, Joe, we got a big party coming. I got invited years ago to a guy's wedding, and he's a rich guy marrying a rich girl, and they're having a steak and lobster wedding reception at the Beverly Hills Hotel. You know, probably the most expensive wedding you can get. He invited me, and it's like, wow, that would be quite a thing, you know, quite a lavish hotel and everything, but I passed on it. Because
that's a hard thing too to pass on, because besides the friends and the relationship that's cultivated, sometimes it's like, man, this is a big event, I can't miss out on this. And you also feel obligated to that customer, thinking, I don't want to let them down.
Right. But you don't want to insult the guy.
Right.
So, but I made up some story why I couldn't make it and gave all my sobs how sorry I felt. But and here's a great example too of going to someone's backyard party. You're their friend. Hey, Joe, we love you. We've known you for 20 years. You know, you keep our pool great. You watch our kids grow up. You've been through 3 different dogs we've had. Every one of them can't wait to come see you. You got treats for them. We just love you. We want you to come to our party.
Right.
And that's very nice of people to do that. I mean, you gotta appreciate that. So, but what happens
when a lot of times people feel obligated, which is something we should mention, a lot of times people are going to take what we're saying and be like, you guys are being kind of assholes, like these people are people I've really gotten to know very well. But Steve's going to mention why the scenario can backfire on you. So
right. And you think these people are my friends, they care about, we talk about our families, we talk about our vacations, all this stuff. But here's where I think the line gets drawn, and that is you're in the backyard at their big barbecue, the spa's bubbling away, and everyone's happy, and boom, spa starts getting cold. Heater kicks out, spa gets cold. Now, at that point, are you their friend or are you their pool man? You will become their pool man almost instantly when they say, hey, can you run around the side of the house and see what the hell that's going on with that heater back there? I got a whole bunch of tools in the garage. Here's the key to the side door. Can you just go take care of that? Yeah. And for me, if I was at a friend's house and something didn't work and the guy put me on fixing it, like I'm an employee, I would probably just leave. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I never go to these parties. I've been invited to some great ones over the years. I do some high-end houses. I remember I have a customer that bought one of the first flat screens that was over 100 inches. And he's got this killer sound system in his house. This massive flat screen, and I wasn't Super Bowl, but it was maybe like a BCS game or something like that. Oh, you got to come! It's great. You got to hear my sound system. It's great. I'm sorry. You know what? My wife's got me doing something else that day. I really regret this. Until he finally quit inviting me. He put it to the point of, I'm going to tell you when my parties are, so you can square the pool away, and you're welcome to come to any of them. Oh, great! Thank you very much. I go to none of them. So right, but I do square away the pool. So because
it can get very annoying quickly. I mean, especially if you're there, You don't have anything with you. Maybe you brought the family car, so you don't have any tools with you if something were to go wrong. You know, a lot of guys, and I'm sure you are included in this, you know, we all want to be the hero, but when we're kind of off hours, being the hero is maybe not what we wanted to do that day. You know, we didn't want to, you know, we're not paid when we're going to a party to be on call. And, you know, whether you run a business, whether you're on call or not, you know, it becomes a very, very tough situation, because then, you know, do you bill this client for the work that you did when you're there at their party and you guys are good friends and you've gone to sporting events together and, you know, you've hung out in the bar on your off days, and, you know, whatever the case is, it becomes a very tough situation.
Can you imagine the phone call? The guy goes, "You billed me for a service call on Super Bowl Sunday?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, man. I was over there working on your heater." "Well, I thought we were friends." Well, we are, but you know, yeah, you're a stockbroker. Why don't you give me some free stock tips and buys and sells or something? I mean, you're not giving me anything for free. Why am I supposed to give you something for free? And then you just get down that whole list of stuff. You know, like cold's acting up here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I have a strict rule, and you keep it straight in your head what the difference between being friends and being friendly is. And we are all friendly. That's part of our job, to be friendly with people. But in the end,
that's definitely one of the dilemmas we face in this industry, which is why we called this segment Pool Dilemmas. What's another pool dilemma that you find, Steve, or that you've run into? Let's mention it that way. You've got a good story on a
okay, yeah, I know. I have a good one
that happened.
I have a good one on finding a dead dog in a pool. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a good story.
Well, I got this great account that I've had from day one. My first day in business, I picked up an account, and I've had it ever since. The guy's a psychiatrist, and his wife has this dress shop down on Laguna Beach, and nicest people in the world, just wonderful people. And so they rescue dogs. They rescue Pomeranians, and you know, they're little puffballs, you know, like they run around the backyard, but they're cute little dogs. And so she calls me on a Wednesday night one time, and she goes, "We're going out of town on Friday, and we have a rescue dog in the backyard. So when you come through the gate, take care that you don't let the dog out." I was like, "Oh, sure." You know, I kind of pride myself in not letting dogs. I've never let a dog. Sure. I got one dog get out, and I got him back in right away. 30 years in the business.
That's a scary situation. I had a dog get out once, and it didn't come back for like an hour, and I was panicking. And, talk about a pool dilemma. Yeah,
the stories I've heard of guys running after dogs.
Oh man,
that's one of the reasons I keep treats in my pocket too, because I can keep them.
It's a good idea.
Bed. So
right.
So I go through that gate, and I'm looking for the dog, you know, and they said the little side garage door would be open. So I look in the garage door. I don't see the dog. The other two dogs are barking, and they're all excited to get their little treats. And so I get out to the backyard, and I look in the pool, and there's a dead dog floating in the pool. I love dogs.
Wow.
I mean, that's a sad occurrence when you have a dead dog in a pool. So I'm like, okay, now what do I do? So I'm looking at this dog in the pool. What are my options here? If I pull the dog out and maybe
reality snaps very quickly in that moment.
Oh, you got that right.
Yeah.
I mean, do I pull this dog out and put it in a trash bag and take it with me and find a dumpster? If I do that, the lady's going to say, "What happened to the dog?" And I'll say it was dead.
And let it get out. Yeah.
And she'll say, "No, you let it get out. You're lying to me."
Right.
Boom, lose the account. It's like, well, I can't do that. Do I flop it on the deck? Well, the other dogs are going to be sniffing at it. They might get sick.
Oh.
So the third option, I'm going, well, do I put it in the trash can? Yeah, this is what these people want to see when they get home, is this rotting corpse of a dog in their trash can. So I'm sitting there thinking, you know,
and these people were out of town, or were they just at work?
They were out of town. They weren't coming back till Monday. I'm standing there on Friday. It's the summer. You know, that thing is going to cook down in the sun. I mean, what do you do with it? I mean, as tragic as it is, the dog is dead. Nothing you can do about that. So I don't know, man. I sat down on one of the freaking patio chairs and thought about it for a while and was petting the other dogs. And I mean, the other thing you can do is, the last thing you can do is, you know, pour a couple gallons of chlorine and hit the road and lie about it. You don't want to do that.
That's a good point because, well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like maybe you don't want to have them mad at you for their dog being dead, but it's like, oh, maybe it drowned after I left.
Right. You could say, no,
you don't want to,
right. I never saw the dog. It must have fallen in after I left.
Dilemma.
Now you have plausible deniability, but I mean, really, I mean, this is a dilemma. You don't want to get into this kind of crap with your customers.
So, yeah, and I think a lot of us in good faith would not want to do that either. We don't want to turn our back on that kind of situation, because a lot of us have pets and we love dogs. And
I mean, when I know people are out of town, I'm the guy out there going, oh, look, the dry cleaning service dropped off their dry cleaning and hung on the front door. I'm the one that brings it around and puts it on the side of the house or puts it in the garage or something. I mean, we're all giving this little extra service to people. So, I mean, I was kind of twisted on it, and I'll tell you one thing that did run across my mind was pouring a couple gallons of juice and hitting the road and lying about it. But I just said I can't do that. I mean, I can't lie to my customers. Right. This guy I've had since day one, and they've always been good to me at Christmas and everything. So what I did was I pulled up my phone, which I have every one of my customers' cell phone numbers in. And this is why you do this. Get their cell phone numbers. And I called them up and I said, look, I just came in the backyard. Tragic to say, but your rescue dog fell in the pool and it drowned. And the lady cried, and the old man got on the phone and he started talking. He goes, yeah, no problem. I go, do you want me to fish him out and, dispose of him? And the guy said, yeah, do that. My wife will freak out if she sees that when she gets home.
Right.
Thank you for the call. Thank you for taking care of that. I got an extra $100 in the bill the next time for the guy put it in there just for taking care of that. So I guess the moral of the story here is get your customers' phones, get cell phone numbers, get them in your phone. So if you do have a problem and they're not around, you can call them and make sure you come out looking good. I came in that thing. I'm looking at losing the account through no fault of my own when I first see the dog. Yeah. And in the end, I get a bonus. So use your head on that stuff.
Definitely having the cell phone numbers in your phone is absolutely important. But I think the moral of this story, even bigger than that, is sometimes we need to make sure that understanding, very importantly, that, we all run into situations out there almost on a daily basis that a lot of times, because we know in our in our soul, we kind of know that we're in that backyard the most. So a lot of people don't even step foot in their backyard half the time. But a lot of times we know that we're the ones that are back there, and we almost put the guilt on ourselves as like, oh my gosh, this is my fault, when it clearly was never your fault that dog drowned.
No.
Because you showed up and saw it that way. But a lot of times we take so much pressure, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna, I'm gonna lose the account. This is gonna happen to me. And I think what I was gonna say is the biggest thing to take away is just do what's right. Just call that customer.
Right. Exactly.
I think
right.
Absolutely 100% correct. If you didn't have that customer's number, knowing that you needed to do the right thing, you'd probably go knock on the neighbor's door to get the number, or you would have been finding any which way to call them and let them know, because obviously that was a very big dilemma to have to figure out, how am I going to handle this? But yeah, I've always felt like taking the high road, the road that a lot of guys would have maybe, oh man, I don't want to get the blame for this, so I'm just going to throw in liquid and leave. And, they're obviously going to find the dog when they get home, and I'll just act like it was fluffy and bouncing around the whole time I was there, which is something that you're going to have on your shoulders for telling not the truth, obviously. And that's something that you have to deal with. So taking the high road on these situations is, I think, the key on a lot of this, and avoid having any trouble down the road. And look at how well it paid off for you. You got a bonus out of it. So
right.
I bet you didn't expect that to happen.
As professionals, I think we have an obligation to our clients to be square with them. Don't lie to them. Don't cheat them. Don't do any of that stuff. I mean, if you want to be a successful person in this business, lying and cheating is not going to get you there. So, and a lot of times too, obviously, doing the right thing is usually the hardest thing to do. But
it is,
and that's what you got to do. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I
that kind of rolls well into our next story that I was going to talk about too.
Oh, cool.
which is kind of like doing the right thing, but also knowing your place at the pool and knowing your place in the industry, knowing where you want to fall when things kind of get a little dicey. Your story with the dog was very dicey. Like, absolutely. I mean, I actually know a guy that, tragic to say, found a person once, and that was tragic. It was actually an older person that had fallen and drowned. And I mean, talk about terrible circumstance.
Every pool guy's nightmare.
Yeah. Complete nightmare. I mean, not to get off topic here real quick, but I came around the corner, and you know, when you walk upon the pool, you kind of don't see the bottom at first, and when you finally could see the bottom in the deep end of the pool, this is at a residential pool, there were a pair of jeans just perfectly laid on the bottom of the pool, and you could see the legs before you could see the torso of the jeans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And talk about your heart skipping a beat, like, really quickly. And they just had fallen in the pool and just laid on the bottom as if you had laid them out on your bed, you know, and all you could see was the legs of the jeans first. And I immediately like jumped and panicked, and then I realized, oh, it's just a pair of jeans. But talk about, you see that shape and you see everything going on, and you're like, oh my God, I just found something. But thank God it wasn't the real thing. But no, the story that I was going to tell was, this happened, maybe like 10 years ago to me. And it's one of those other pool dilemmas that we can this one we can occasionally run into. Obviously, finding a dead dog, nobody ever wants to run into that. This one, I feel like almost anybody can find themselves in, and I certainly did when it happened to me. I got a call. I don't even remember how I got the call to come out and bid a pool. New customer. Didn't really know at the time I think before I got out there, if they had a pool guy. I think when I got out there, I met the guy. He let me in through the side gate. We were looking at the pool, looking at his backyard, looking at the equipment, talking to him, just kind of getting a feel for, the situation. It was in my route. It was very much a pool that I could have taken on right away and probably was ready to. And I said, I asked the question, which was this is a good question to always ask, is, do you have somebody servicing the pool right now? Or, or
Sure.
Did you just buy the house? Ask the important questions and try to figure out, why you're there, what's going on. Is it something where the customer's just having to need somebody to take care of the pool because they've been doing it themselves? What's the real situation going on? And he goes, oh, no, I got a pool guy. He actually comes today. Hopefully you don't run into him. Immediately, like, my feelers went up, if you will. And I kind of got a little put off because when I showed up, the pool was immaculate. It was very well taken care of. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. The equipment wasn't falling apart. Everything was working. So I kind of got a little bit, and this is where this pool dilemma is one that I immediately was like, okay, why am I here? Like, are you trying to get a better deal? And obviously, I think if you've been in this industry long enough, you don't like people that shop you, let alone in this situation. I was the one that was on the reverse side of that. So if you have a client, and obviously, if you know that they're shopping you, that's not a good feeling to have.
No.
But now I'm on the flip side of that. So the reason this story gets interesting is we're kind of finishing up, hadn't really taken on the pool right away. We were kind of out front of his house, and the pool guy happened to pull up and got out of his truck, grabbed his carryall, grabbed his pole, put his net on, and was walking up to the house up the driveway. And I immediately flipped the table on this customer that the guy was working for. And I said, because here the irony was, I loosely knew the guy. I didn't know him personally. We had never really talked, but I ran into him at the wholesale house, and I immediately looked at him and I go, I'm not here to take this pool from you. And I looked at the client and I go, I am not taking this account from this guy. That pool looks amazing. I don't know what he's charging you, but I think what you're doing here, you need to work out with your pool guy. And he kind of was taken back because I don't know if he had realized that my truck was sitting out front. He kind of was just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I just walked away. And I was kind of upset because I don't want to be the guy on the flip side of that. And I happen to be the guy that was on the flip side of it in the realm of, being possibly the new pool guy. And I'm not here to take guys' accounts. I know maybe there's guys listening that'd be like, oh, there's no problem in this, but we have to run into pool guys, and our, reputation can be very slammed, if you will, by doing bad practices like this. And I view this as a bad practice. If you know that you're taking pools from other guys, just right out from underneath them. Now, granted, this was the customer's decision, but I knew the guy, kind of on a loose, say hi to him at the wholesale house. I'd seen him before. And so kind of left the situation. I think he ended up talking to the customer. I don't know if he even, kept the account or what happened, but I ended up running into him a couple weeks later at the wholesale house, and he came up and shook my hand and goes, I'm impressed at how you handled that, because a lot of guys would have just walked away, kind of turned the shoulder on me. And I said, no, I'm not here to take anybody's accounts that they've worked hard to get, and they've been doing a great job. I didn't see any reason why they needed to fire you. I don't know any of the details, but that's something that they needed to work out. And I certainly wasn't going to be the one coming in and stealing that account, if you will.
I think you even talked to a bigger idea here too, is keeping your reputation up. I mean, as you get going in this business and you get to know people, your reputation is everything. And even if you didn't steal the pool, the customer called you out, you made a bid, you got the pool, and that guy was out, you still look like a jerk. So I don't know. I'm for accounts come and go. I mean, there's so many accounts out there. There's no reason to do that to someone else and say, yeah, I know it's your pool, but I'm going to snag it from you anyway because I got an opportunity to add one more onto my list.
Sure.
I'm sorry. You've got to protect your reputation, or you just become that guy. I mean, there's people out there that think nothing is stealing pools or selling you a pool and then coming back and stealing it back and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Trading a pool to you and then sneaking it back out of you. Those people, we know who they are. And, there's probably about 1 in 100 guys that'll do that. Most guys won't, but you've got to keep track of your reputation. You don't want to be that guy. Pretty soon, nobody wants to do anything with you. Nobody wants you in their chapter. Nobody wants to do any business with you. You become kind of a pariah at the wholesale house. I don't know. I think you did the right thing there.
It's kind of an ironic thing that I ran into the guy, because you mentioned a good point about our chapters. I mean, it's a funny thing to be a part of I've always thought it's interesting, UPA or IPSA or any trade association that we have. We're all competitors, but at the end of the day, we all come together for the better good of what we all do in this industry. Yeah. And I think that's one of those things where, we want to keep our own reputation clean. And had I not even ran into that guy that day, it could have been a guy that, maybe sits on the board with me that does that guy's pool. It wasn't like I was going to find out who cleaned the pool, but what if it was somebody that I really knew and really respected? And, the situation was dicey. The guy was kind of sleazy to be shopping me the way that he did. And it didn't have a good feeling. Like, it wasn't like the guy was sorry that he did anything wrong. And so in that moment, I knew what the decision was to do, and it was to kind of protect my fellow pool guy. And,
what an awkward situation. You're standing there, and up walks this guy like, I know you. What are you doing to my account? Man.
Yeah. So,
well, that's good. Well, you made a friend out of the deal, So,
yeah, some of these things, when you take the high road, things work out well. And I think doing the right thing at the right time is always really crucial. I mean, I know when I started in this business, walking into backyard just freaked me the fuck out. Just walking into somebody's backyard and knowing that full good and well that they're paying you to be there. But there's a lot of situations where you just don't want to get yourself into a bad situation or a bad dilemma that, comes back to bite you.
Of course, and guys that get into this business at first sometimes don't realize that you know, you're going to get to know a lot of people. And here I am down the road few decades. And yeah, I'm going to the supply house. I pretty much know 90% of the people in there. If I don't know them by, you know, by sight or by wave or something, some you see on the road. And yeah, you want to keep your nose clean. You don't want to be that jerk. Because there's plenty of jerks out there, believe me. So yeah, I definitely avoid that one. Taking people's stuff like that. I don't blame you. So,
well, hey, we're going to do another one of these segments, but I just want to say thanks everybody for listening, and tune into us, follow us. We're on all the podcast channels. Steve, thank you.
Good stories. Thank you, Joe.